please go down the line and introduce yourselves. Go ahead.
Ron Berneking.
Faye Oldham, but I made me mistakes.
Judy Meyers.
Geri Donnelly.
Jim Donnelly.
All right. Ron, when did you move to Herculaneum?
1939. I was born here. I guess that accounts for moving here too.
Faye, when did you move here?
1943.
All right.
You want to just go down the line?
60.
I moved here in 1943 also from Bonterre.
I went to high school here for 3.5 years, but I actually moved here in 1960.
I was born here. I've been here since 1939 also.
All right. Faye, where did you move here from?
Festus.
You guys can just go on down the line.
I moved here from Bonterre.
I moved here from St. Louis.
I'm born here. I just
Never left.
Born and bred.
Antonio, really. Because I went to Antonio grade school.
Ron, where do you live, Herky?
Well, I don't live in Herculaneum right now. I lived Main Street when I was young. Then we moved up to on Mott Street, and the last 3 years we've lived in Deagley.
Okay, I was raised on Curve Street, and then now I live in Peeble.
I was also raised on Curve Street, then moved to Scenic Drive for 37 years. That was still in the Herculaneum School District. And 3 years ago, we built a house out off of Main Nut, up behind St. Paul's and there.
Well, we lived on Scenic Drive. When we first got married, we lived behind his mom and dad on Church Street. And we moved to Scenic Drive, and we still live on Scenic Drive in a different house.
All right. Geri, who are your parents?
Simon and Celestine Rickberg.
Okay. Geri.
Buster and Marie Donnelly with my parents. I was raised on Church Street, just the other street over from Wright. And so I'm still in Herky. I moved around a few times, but I'm still in Herky.
Ron, who are your parents?
Melvin and Bert Berneking.
Well, my dad's first cousin raised me, Lola and Cecil Womack, after my mother died. That's why I ended up in Herculaneum.
And my parents were Richard and Velma Burchett, known as Dick and Toogie Burchett. Nobody knew their parents.
Everybody in Herky had nicknames.
Yeah.
Judy, how many generations of your family have lived here?
Well, I believe my grandmother and grandfather, my mom's mom and dad, I don't know if they go any further back than that. And they were from down in like French Village, is where my grandpa was from, and my grandma was down in the Bonterre area.
Geri, you guys go ahead.
Okay, Jim, you
The Donnellys have 6 generations in Herky.
Oh, my goodness.
3.
It'd be 3 for me too.
Faye, did your family work in Herculaneum?
Yes. The man that raised me, he worked at St. Joe Led
Okay.
and walked to work every day.
What type of wages did he earn?
Well, I didn't know when I was little because that was something that was never discussed. But he died in 1962, and I remember seeing his check was $85 in 1962.
Okay. Ron?
My dad worked at St. Joe Led until 1951, and he quit there and went up to Jefferson County Lumber. And something else that's interesting, when Cecil passed away, I went to work in the storeroom where Cecil worked.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Jim?
My dad was a barber here in Herky for 41 or 2 years. And then I went,
St. Joe.
yeah, Grandpa Perkins. Yeah. Well, Grandpa Donnelly did too. But anyway, my dad, he was a barber all those years, and then I went to work for him as a barber in 1957 in December. So this coming December, I'll start my 50th year.
Jerry, did you?
I worked I was city clerk for 8.5 years for the city of Herculaneum. And then just resigned my position and just I've worked at different jobs.
Jim, where did you go to school?
Right here.
Do you remember any teachers?
Mr. and Mrs. Heinzman.
It was Heis.
Sorry.
Heisman was the English.
And
Yeah, she went.
Dean Crawford. What was the ladies around lived down on end of Mott Street all those years?
Mrs. Robinson.
Yeah, Miss Robinson.
Mr. Zudi.
Roy Taylor was superintendent,
Mr. Zudi was.
and Bernice Johnson was his secretary.
Mhm.
And Mr. Thomas was our shop teacher.
Right.
I was trying to think who was maybe football coach or basketball coach.
Well,
Del
Hall.
Roach, there you go.
Yeah, Del
Del
Roach.
Luis.
Who was the secretary? Teacher.
Mr. Holmes was the, I think.
Football,
Yeah,
yeah,
football.
right.
No, what was her name?
Coach Delaroche was it for a while.
Freshman, sophomore year.
Yeah.
Teacher.
Oh.
In the-
I had Mr. Kenton, biology.
Nancy, yeah.
Mrs. Hall for American
What was
Problems.
Kemp's favorite thing you would tell us?
Mrs. Hub
Turn
was
blue.
there.
And
He
Mrs.
taught
Hall
PE.
for PE.
Remember Kempton's favorite term he'd tell us? Turn blue?
I don't remember that.
And we had Miss Massey as our
Yeah.
secretarial teacher.
She did
She was
typing,
something
shorthand, bookkeeping.
Yeah.
Mrs. Crawford, she was old. I mean, I don't know how old that woman was, but
She had to
was-
be 100 when she retired.
She had to be, because she was decrepit.
And she carried this board.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say, and she was
This
a
long
study
and this
hall
thick.
teacher, or watched
Yeah.
over us, and if somebody misbehaved, she walked right down the middle of that aisle,
Swinging it,
and
She did.
on either side of us, I'm telling you what, it's a wonder I don't have heart problems.
You remember what she called everybody when she was mad?
No.
You bunch of jackasses.
She always sat at the end of study halls in the library like, and if you got a little rowdy out there, she'd take that, as Judy was talking about, hit that on that desk and holler, "Shut up, you yellow-bellied lounge." Oh,
Well, I remember one time she beat on the desk, she kept beating on the desk, and all of a sudden it stopped, and we all looked up and she'd fainted. She was laying in the floor. And I remember us all looking at her, we just sit there and looked at her, I don't think anybody moved, we were so terrified.
Didn't know if she fainted or died.
Another one had two dresses, and she wore one for month and another one for month. And she spit in the trash can.
Did any of you guys play any sports at all?
Ronnie did.
I played basketball and track 3 years. Coach Hall was my basketball coach. Coach Delrose. No,
Holmes? What are you
I
talking
can't
about?
remember. I think it was Coach Delrose was a B team coach, and Frank Leaf was a B team coach, and I don't remember the track coach. I absolutely can't remember that. Does anybody?
I should have brought mine.
I just don't remember that.
Anybody else?
I played on softball teams and basketball teams, but the girls' teams weren't
Well,
big
these
like
were
they are now.
cheerleaders.
I was a cheerleader.
Yeah,
Wasn't
Judy
Frank?
was, I wasn't.
Yeah, Judy was a cheerleader.
Very athletic.
I had the lead role in the senior play.
She did.
Bars moonshine over yonder. was the name of the play.
Written by her.
Yeah.
Did you guys attend church?
I did, First Baptist Church there in Herculaneum.
I did too, I went to Bears, and then later on I went to Methodist with Judy.
I went up to the Methodist church up on the hill, still there.
Yeah, it's the
Yeah.
same church.
That's, Jim and I got married in the Methodist church up on the hill here.
So,
My grandfather was pastor of the First
Mhm.
Baptist Church in 1936 or 37, stayed there until 41.
Faye, did you belong to any civic or social clubs?
Yes, I belonged to Girl Scouts and Brownies and the Tri-Highway Club. And, I guess that's all, cause I don't think there was much
There
other
wasn't
than
much of that.
There wasn't too much in Herculaneum. Okay.
Geri,
Mm-hmm.
Jim?
Boy Scouts.
Boy Scouts.
Actually, we really had good scout leaders, don't you think? I thought the scout leaders we had were really good.
With the
And did a lot
teachers,
of things. Did a lot of things.
with the teachers we had, we really did respect our teachers. Because it was demanded that we respect teachers. Today, it's not as demanded as it was then, but we respected our teachers and ended up having a good rapport with them in the end.
They'd spank you then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd throw you up against the wall or do anything, and nothing was done about it. Even your parents
If
didn't
you
take
got a
up for
spanking,
you.
if you got a spanking in school,
You got another one.
you got another one when
You
you
didn't
got
tell
home.
them, because you got another feed when you got home.
That's
We
right.
could do a whole afternoon.
I
in
think the
fourth
parents
grade.
would say, well, you deserved it.
Faye, do you remember any town celebrations?
I remember they used to have a Christmas Eve day, but I never did go to it, but I remember they used to, because my family got together on Christmas Eve, but I remember it down in the wedge, you know, they used to have.
They bring a
Christmas
huge
tree.
Christmas tree in.
Well, I think St. Joe Led would go out and cut the tree, and they'd put a tree up
Yeah.
and put lights on it, and then everybody would see, gather around on Christmas Eve, and Santa Claus would come. I think
Sing carols.
people, different choirs from the
Yeah, I
churches
think
would
they
sing
did.
some of the Christmas carols and things like that.
It's nice.
That was a big whoop then.
As a group, do you guys remember any disasters, fires, or floods, or anything?
Just the school,
The
that I
school.
remember.
We were in the second grade, so.
Yeah.
Don't remember the year.
I think it was 48, did you say? 1948, somebody told, did you say 48? 7, okay, 47. I said 48 before, didn't I? 1947.
Well, then,
That was a big thing, because we didn't have a fire department, so
yeah.
they brought fire departments in from all over, didn't they? Even from St. Louis.
Yeah, I did burn by it. We went to school in different, in the church one year, that was finished out the second grade, or the third grade. And in the fourth grade, we went to school all year in the Masonic Hall.
They used to have around in town little concrete buildings that was a big two-wheel trailer or something with fire hose rolled up on it. And they would pull those to the fires, hooked to the fire hydrants. How they got there, I don't know.
I don't know either.
They pulled them in, I guess.
I don't remember that. But then, you know, St. Joe had a fire, what they called the centering plant, that burned. I can remember standing on the street watching that burn. Well, then most recently, the floods, 93 floods.
But I don't remember any bad flood growing up, do you?
It seemed like Joachim flooded every spring, and we'd always wait around in that, but other than that, it wasn't a big disaster.
Nothing like we've had.
You know, you was talking about celebrations a while ago. One thing we had almost 25 years ago was the 175th birthday celebration. That was a 3-day celebration there.
Yeah, nice.
And in '08, Bill was gonna have the 200.
Well, then they had the fireworks most recently. Firemen would put on the fireworks displays out all around.
Do you remember any activities down by the river?
I remember the boat club.
Yeah, they had a boat club, and every Sunday afternoon, you'd go down there and sit and watch them ride up down Mississippi.
We
Or
had
ski, I skied in Mississippi.
Yeah, we did, we had roasted hot
I'll never do it again, but we would go ski in the river.
Do you guys remember any businesses in town or anything?
There was the grocery store, IGA, Herky IGA store,
Yeah.
down on Main Street, downtown.
We could
Post
start
office.
there, well, there was Jim's dad, and then next to him was
Watts.
Clem Watts, the little grocery store, and then the drugstore,
A Vineyard Funeral Home.
Vineyard Funeral Home, and Richard White's Tavern, Slim Coleman's Tavern,
Butch Wraps.
Tiny
Insurance.
Torrance's Tavern. Sided Clue had a TV shop.
Yeah.
There was
That's
the,
Butch Wrap.
Yeah, Butch Rat.
there was the hardware store too.
B&L Supply,
That'd be
Bob
right.
Evans run that. There was a hotel there,
Lucky store.
Homer Lucky's grocery store,
Anybody say anything about Fex?
Mr.
Yeah.
Fex, yeah.
Hotel?
Yeah, the hotel. There was
Bond's Dairy and
There was- yeah, but-
Dugan's,
yeah,
Dollar.
Dugan's up on top of the hill, and there was at one time a tailor. But I don't remember.
J.V. Carl.
Huh?
J.V. Carl.
J.V. Carr, he was a tailor.
And, the bakery,
Mhm.
Yeah, that's right.
Macy's
Macy's
Library.
Library.
so they were good too.
And the theater.
Yeah.
What was originally in that corner building where the old library was?
All I remember is the library.
Bowling alley.
No, that was down.
Oh, that was down,
Bowling
that
alley
was
was
down,
downtown.
the bowling alley is down, and the building is
Anybody
still
tell you what that
standing
was
where the
built?
bowling alley used to be.
I
I don't know, don't remember that.
The first county seat was here in Herculaneum.
Yeah.
That's about all the businesses.
Yeah, in our time anyway, there
Yeah.
were more, if my mother was
Yeah,
still alive,
there
she
was
could tell you a
Yeah.
lot more, because there were,
Well,
you know, it was really a thriving town,
Mm-hmm.
more so when my mom and
Well,
dad
Mr.
were.
Terry's had a little store up on
Yeah.
Hill Street.
Yeah.
And,
Folks Market.
Patsy's had a little store
And
up
Boats
on,
Market is where he is
Thurwell,
now.
and then Folks
Yeah.
Market up there.
Yeah.
Where Jim's Barber Shop.
So there was three other little grocery stores
Mhm.
back in those times.
Yeah,
I think
one time
where I'm
there
at
was
now,
a
that was built in
clothing
1950,
store.
I think.
There was also a couple beauty shops.
Yes, lots of
Had
them.
been in there, yeah.
Jean Porchy had a beauty shop and Gladys Burley had
Yeah.
a beauty shop.
Yes.
Gary, where did you shop?
I shopped at the IGA store, Herculaneum IGA store for many years. They called me the little Jew because I was always, I was tight with my money and I wanted to get everything I could for my money. So Jimmy House was he run the store and he always said, oh, here comes the little Jew. Yeah.
Did anyone else shop anywhere different?
Lucky, my family shopped at home, Lucky. He delivered, so.
Before the store that Jerry's talking about, it was down, you're not talking about the one downtown.
Mhm.
Downtown with all the steps?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
The old company
Yeah.
store.
I
Yeah.
don't think you were around.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
I always wondered how people got up and down with a
Mhm.
bunch of
Right.
groceries, because there was, how many, 30, 40 steps?
And
You had
that's
to
quite
go
a
up
bit,
to
so
get,
you had to go up into the
You
store.
remember when Dick Burr's dad was butcher down
Yeah.
Mhm.
there? Oh,
And Larry Glover, yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
What type of transportation was there?
Horse and buggy.
Oh, we call cars.
Bicycle or cars or your own 2 feet.
Our
And we
family-
rode bicycles.
Yeah.
Every
Yeah, we
place.
did. Well, my
We got
family
lots
didn't
of
have a car out
exercise.
of
Yeah, we did. I
One
saw it
speed
strong
bicycles
legs.
too,
Yeah.
none of this 10-speed stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
There used to be a bus service that would come through Herky. It'd stop at the Green Lantern
Yeah.
and then the library.
And if you wanted to make that bicycle sound good, you just took a clothespin and clipped a piece of cardboard on those spokes.
And you had
play you tune, wouldn't it? Yeah.
like the pipes that they put on cars now.
What would you do for fun?
Like cowboys and Indians.
I think school, our life kind of revolved around school, don't you think?
Pretty much, yeah, we were
School
really
activities,
involved
we
in
were
all
really
the
involved, I think about everybody was real involved in school.
sports.
And sports or something.
And we hung out at each other's houses.
Yeah.
and We'd play,
That's a
we'd
lot.
start playing Monopoly at 10 o'clock
Yeah.
in the morning with Howard Knitting and play till.
But there was an old movie theater on top of the hill. I mean, you play softball in the streets, you didn't have to watch out for much traffic then.
We used to play a lot of bobcat ball.
Yeah, you could go down to the creek and fish, and I did that quite a bit.
We used to slide down the slag pile.
Slag, yeah, the slag pile before they said that there was lead in it. It was just, you just kind of made fun.
Yeah.
Make
Didn't have any
your own
cars
fun.
to get out.
Ryan, you talked about the show, how much did it cost to get there?
Well, I didn't know when I got here, but Judy or Faye said it was 25 cents.
Okay. Anybody else know any different? Is that about right?
I guess that's about right, yeah.
And we didn't have a theater for a
Long
long
time.
time, and when they opened it, oh my gosh.
Oh, yeah, that was the
wonderful.
highlight in town.
It will wait here till the class comes.
Well, another thing I'll tell you about the movie theater was, that was before Walker, and they walked across across the Mississippi River on the ice in 1936. So that was a story always fascinated me. So, does anybody else remember? Do you remember?
My dad did too.
Yeah.
I remember talking to, people talking about, taking, like coal wagons.
Yeah.
Well, there used to be a ferry boat too.
Yeah, there was a ferry boat at one time.
And nobody ever fell through the ice?
Not that I know of.
No, because we had really hard freezes. and
Yeah,
the ice
they
is
stayed
very
colder
thick.
longer. But now in my lifetime, I don't remember ever freezing them.
No,
Do you?
no.
I don't, this was before, like 1936 or before.
Well, now, when Jim used to go ice skating, and I don't know who else went ice skating on the creek.
Yeah.
It was thick
Yeah.
enough that you could ice skate on the
We
creek.
did that quite a
And
bit.
they built bonfires down there and all that.
Skate all
When the
over,
creek
not
thawed out,
to
to
his
Lord
leg.
Harston Pond, I skated
Yeah.
that week.
Many times.
Just go back and hit on the school, what were the buildings like back then? Because I know they're nothing like they
There
are
was just
today.
one building.
Yeah, that was it.
That's
right
still
there.
standing, it's
Yeah.
the same, that old gym over there is what was our gym.
Yeah.
That's where we graduated,
Uh-huh,
in
yeah.
that gym over there.
Yeah.
And then
That
the Taylor building over there, we was the first.
We were the
that went
sixth
there.
grade
We were the
when,
sixth grade when that was built.
That was built.
It's about how many, do you remember how many students were in your graduating class?
93.
Yeah.
Was it 93?
Yeah, it was 90 something.
Was everybody pretty close?
I think we
Yes,
were,
yeah.
I think we all got along real good,
Especially the ones that had, there was, at that time, that people came from as far as House
Cedar Hill.
Springs, High Ridge, Cedar Hill. They were all, they'd start out at 5 o'clock in the morning and they were bussed in. So, you know, the
Yeah,
ones
I
that
was
lived
bussed
in
in,
her
I
had
was
grown
bussed
to know
in
each other.
from Antonio,
Mm-hmm.
and they went all the way to 141, and bused children in from 141 all the way to Herky. That was the school that everybody went to.
Well, they used to cover 67 to St. Louis County, 21 to St. Louis County, and 30 to St. Louis County.
And it was
All
a big,
Herculaneum served that whole thing.
So there was no Fox or Windsor or Northwest Tigers?
No.
nothing, no schools at all in that area.
How was segregation in the school?
Well, I believe we were sophomores when it started, and it was just like we knew the kids anyway. You know, everybody that came, we knew. I mean, Faye and I lived on Curve Street and just
On the
right-
same street,
Yeah,
actually.
and we're we called it Color Town at that time, but it started, and so they were just more people come to school. You knew a new student coming to school.
And they were treated just like
Mm-hmm.
everybody else was. I mean, they were included in, we had a black cheerleader and.
The year
a black
after they,
queen.
Queen candidate,
the year after,
on sports, it was on the sports
Had
team.
some real good athletes. didn't they?
Mhm.
Well, you guys probably know Wayne Kinder.
yeah,
Wayne
he
was
was,
a terrific football player.
yeah, he's a good guy.
Yeah.
Good guy then and still is.
We had no problems whatsoever.
I don't think there was any incident at all, I remember.
I think there was only, what, 5 or 6?
There wasn't very many.
Yeah,
There wasn't many.
There were more girls than there were boys.
Yeah,
I mean.
but there was no problem.
You talking about KP Hall? What activities?
We just about did everything there. They had birthday parties, showers, all of us had showers, I'm sure.
Halloween, they had
Halloween
Parties,
parties.
dances.
That was sort of the
Wrestling
town
matches.
square that wasn't in a town square. It's just so simple, everybody used it.
It was big old, nice looking
Mhm.
Used
two-story.
to have boxing matches and wrestling matches in it.
It's where the
Boy Scouts met.
Were they just boxing matches, just people want to go over there, or were they actually set up?
Amateur.
What about school carnivals?
Yeah, we had one every, in October, wasn't it? Usually it was in October.
In the fall.
We build floats where you stuck
Each class built a float.
what were they, napkins?
Napkins
And
and
they
chicken
just,
wire.
one year we made, I
Tissue
remember this one
paper.
the most, we made a big skirt.
Uh-huh.
Oh, it was, how
That's what
tall
you
was
were
that
thinking.
thing? Faye was in it. She was, her top part of her stuck out, we used chicken wire.
And this part was the skirt, and it's on top of a Jeep. And they rode me all the way to Festus and Crystal and people. You wouldn't get by with that now, but,
Where was the carnival at?
It was out here on the school
out on the
grounds.
school ground, and then it was, they had a football game, wasn't that the way it was? And they crowned the queen afterwards. we'd have a sock hop afterwards and they crown the queen.
Okay, so it was kind of like a homecoming.
Yeah, but they called it carnival
Yeah.
queen then, but it was sort of the same thing as homecoming.
It was a lot of fun, building floats, and they turned out. really
Actually,
good,
the floats were beautiful, really built beautiful floats.
Then you, first
Wasn't
prize,
there?
second prize.
Yeah, they-
Oh, yeah,
Total.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, most of them were in Ronnie's garage, that's where
His
we were.
neighbor
Yeah,
had
That
a
was
big
when Mr.
garage.
and Mrs. Heiss was our,
yeah,
uh,
sponsors, yeah.
yeah, sponsors for that year. Remember us kids got together,
Uh-huh.
put some Lindbergh cheese on his,
Yeah.
on his car motor.
They were very mean to Mr. Heiss
Uh-huh.
because he was hard of hearing in one ear, and so the kids that had him in his class just really tantalized that man.
He did, he had no business.
Did we
in
just
it.
call him
No,
Colonel
we
Heiss
didn't,
because he's
but-
retired out of the.
Yeah,
Colonel
you little
Heiss.
kid colonel, I
I
think.
don't know how he made it through that.
I don't know, really.
Did any of you have any nicknames?
I did, I was Babe.
I'm not gonna tell you mine.
He was night trained, weren't you?
That's what was in the annual.
Uh-huh.
His nickname was night.
Hands was,
Mhm.
hands.
Did you remember what I was called?
Yeah, I know, but I ain't gonna say it on
I don't remember.
camera.
I remember that.
Well, I'll just give you a little hint, my maiden name was Burchett.
Oh, yeah, oh,
So you
So-
can imagine what the kids
yeah.
call
So it's Bird.
And I still, if I'm at Festus, I'll hear somebody on the other side of the street say, "Hey, Burchett." But that's what my dad was called, everybody. So it's,
What is, Ron, what's your fondest memory of Herculaneum?
Oh, golly. I don't know if I can pinpoint it to any one, but, it was just a nice little community to grow up in. We had no law enforcement. There was no mayor, no street department. You could leave your house unlocked or leave at night, leave the doors open, windows open, But as far as it was a community where everybody could
Took
like
care of everybody else.
Everyone knew everyone, and it was just, like I said, just a good place to grow up in.
and it was pretty then. It was a very, very.
Yes,
pretty
it
town.
was.
It was just nice. Everybody was friendly.
I do not regret growing up in Herculaneum. I know a lot of people would kid you about the name of Herculaneum, different ones that said, what kind of disease is that, and different things like that, but it was just a great community. And I don't know, I guess it still is.
I don't even know anybody who
It's
lives here.
spread out a
I don't
little bit
either.
more now.
Well, I remember that we all got along, didn't we? We never fought among each other. Do you remember ever?
Mhm.
Or I think we truly loved each other, cared about each other, And I don't mean the boyfriend-girlfriend sense, don't you
Just
think? Jim?
friendship.
I mean, I think we just truly loved each other as friends. And I think we still do. We still feel the same way, But we never fought amongst each other. And I think we probably have families that wouldn't allow it anyway, do you think? I mean,
It just never came
I
up.
don't think we just ever did. I mean, I can't remember it. But I thought the people in Herculaneum were really, really good people. They was a little factory town and they went to work in the factories and the women were basically clean women and cooked good meals and took care of their families. And I just think it was really, and usually almost every family belonged to a church, one of the churches in town. And I don't remember us ever fighting.
I
Do you?
don't know, I was sitting here trying to
or
think, I
fussing
can't
or
remember anything.
I don't remember. We
What's
walked back and forth to school.
your fondest memory of Herculaneum?
Well, this is not a whole lot, but one of the things that I reiterate back on, I remember my mom and dad had 3 other couples they played pinochle with every Saturday night. Al Meese at the bakery up there on the hill. And they knew about what time he got his first batch of donuts done, which was 11 o'clock or 10:30 or whatever it was. And it was my job to go up and get 2 or 3 dozen of donuts. Mom had coffee made and everything. So I'd go up there and get the donuts, and then Al would give me so many of the donut holes. He'd fry them up and he'd give that to me. That That was for me. The rest of it was having donuts.
He came home from the show one night.
Yeah, I come home from the show one night, a whole bunch of us kids there on Church Street, and there where Jane and Gabar live.
Yeah.
That great big tree would come out in the sidewalk there.
Yeah.
I never did know who this guy was, but us kids was walking down that sidewalk, and there was a drunk standing behind that tree, and he like belched or whatever and staggered out behind that tree, and I don't think my fit hit the tree till I got home, and all the rest of us.
Probably Ted.
He probably fed Julia, yeah. That's probably
Pepper?
what, yeah.
And my mom and dad, stood up for Jim's mom and dad when they got married.
Oh, yeah.
And that's
You know
another,
that?
that's another thing that I think why we didn't have, any trouble is because the parents all knew the parents. I mean, you know, it was just, and everybody seemed to get along there.
You know, like Ronnie said, my mom, I never did see a door key to our house.
Ours either.
Never did see one. But you know, they had them old square box, like a skeleton key in them, you
Yeah.
know? The same key fit everybody's house.
Oh, yeah.
Everybody had the same lock on it.
Judy's mom was a postmistress.
No, my aunt, Babe.
Babe.
Mark's mom.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah, my aunt was postmistress
Your aunt.
for years and
Yeah,
years.
right. Babe William was postmistress for years and years.
What was the theater like?
Well, it was great. I mean,
small.
we didn't
Very
have one.
small.
I don't know how many years that theater was actually there.
That was our highlight of our week.
It wasn't a big cinema screen, you know, it was not a big screen, but it was a place where everybody
Yeah.
could go and sit back and watch a movie and enjoy yourself. They even sold popcorn and candy.
Yeah.
Was it like a building, drive-in?
It was a building, that was the NEDA,
About how many people could fit in there?
No, I don't know.
a couple hundred maybe,
Well, I would say a couple,
150.
yeah, probably a couple hundred,
Actually, was in the Rockies who,
Hazel and Vanita Law.
Mm-hmm.
and that's the reason why it had the name Anita, that was his wife's name.
Yeah.
Okay. And you said it cost about 25 cents to get in.
Mhm.
How many times a week you go? Just one?
I think
Whenever,
they've changed.
whenever I
it.
was changing, and they'd have cereals, they called them
Yeah,
cereals.
cereals.
And it was usually a cowboy movie, and they'd get right to the cowboy was gonna go off the
Off the cliff.
cliff,
Yeah.
and then it would end. And then you'd have to wait till the next week, and we'll see the next time the show changed to see what happened to the cowboy.
Any favorite movies at all?
Well, I remember they had Tarzan movies all the time.
Oh, yeah.
We knew all the Tarzan movies.
Johnny Washington.
And any favorite movie, I don't know.
I saw Gone with the Wind there for the first time, and I like that one. And they had like the Mummy's Ghost and Boris Karloff movies that were
But
scared you to death.
There wasn't any
seeing that.
Academy Award movies.
No.
We wouldn't have liked them anyway.
Jerry, what was your favorite movie?
I didn't go to the movies. I didn't come in until after they were closed.
Oh, okay.
So I didn't get a chance to go to the movies here, but we went to movies where I lived. I lived in Lemay at one time, and we had a show. We'd go every Sunday, and like you said, they had the cereals, and you had to go every week to make sure that you didn't get lost in the cereals.
What was your favorite movie of
I think Gone with the Wind was my favorite movie, and I still like that movie.
Jen,
I agree with them, what they had to say about it, they pretty well covered it.
what was your favorite movie?
I kinda agree with them again, but.
Gone with the Wind?
They all- yeah.
I even named my son Rhett. So that's how well I like Gone with the Wind.
Rhett Butler was the main character.
Yeah.
You guys told me about the drugstore.
Oh, it was a great, well, Ronnie worked there.
We went down there
Every day.
we came in through our books, probably our homework on the counter, walked back outside and went down to the drugstore every day. And had a lemon Coke and potato chips.
Cherry Coke.
Cherry Coke, I got.
I went to work there when I was a freshman in high school. And Honey Domeyer and Don Shelley owned it then. And they had a big soda fountain there with, you know, you made the milkshakes and you dipped the ice cream cones and you made the sodas and the milkshakes. And like they said, they'd all come down after school and lemon Cokes, cherry Cokes, chocolate Cokes. And And Green River, yeah, they had a drink called Green River.
What did that consist of? What was in
I
there?
knew you were gonna ask me that. It was a green liquid or something, and I don't know what it
Was
was.
it lime, maybe?
Maybe it was lime, and they put carbonated water in it, and they called it Green River. It was kind of a limey drink. But people would get that and all these other Cokes and cheese crackers, remember?
And peanuts,
And
peanuts
peanuts,
down in
and
the drink.
peanuts in the
Pork in
Coke.
it, yeah.
And they're gonna.
Yeah.
And the little Coke bottles, they were just the 8-ounce Coke
Mhm.
bottles, and people
They
would come in
had,
and buy peanuts and put
Well,
them in
now,
the
the
bottle.
drugstore was just real small at one time, and you walked in and you went to the right and the soda fountain was there, and then there was booths. Booths all in the back that people would go in and just like a booth now in some of these restaurants. Then they expanded into the next building and moved the soda fountain out there and took some of the old booths out, expanded the pharmacy department, and put in maybe just 2 or 3 booths there. It wasn't as many. I don't know, I worked there all through high school and went to pharmacy school for a year and still work there. And I don't know when I quit there, I don't know the year. I went to work in St. Louis then come back and went to work for St. Jolette, or what Cecil did. But the worst thing to make was milkshakes, and I had a bunch of them fall off on me. They had the old, I don't know if you've ever seen them, they were just a
Down at
motor-
Stoplight, they had
motor on
the
top and a
same
little thing here that mixed it and
You had to
cram the
push it
can up on there. If you don't get it on there, you let it go and it just flies off.
How much did the sodas and sundaes cost?
They weren't,
A dime, I
A
guess.
nickel or something. I remember one drink that had, it was a 10-cent Pepsi, and it was maybe about this big, and that big around. It was huge for 10 cents. And I think like the peanuts and things were a nickel or
Probably so.
something like that. Milkshakes weren't very expensive at all. But it was a gathering place for after school. Mostly the kids that lived in town, that's where they would come
We'd
to.
walk straight down.
Walk straight down there, and then in the evening, a lot of the parents would come in and just sit at the fountain and drink sodas and talk.
Where was Vaughn's Dock or Dairy?
That was back up on top of the hill. I don't know how to describe where it was at. Almost next to the movie theater. And it was a gathering place again.
that's when we were in high school.
High school.
But they had food.
They had
Hamburgers
food
and fries and
You
things
know where
like that.
City Hall is now?
Yeah.
Kind of.
Well, Main Street went up and Vaughn Dairy was right in front of where City Hall sits. There was the theater and the
Overlooked the Mississippi.
donut shop and Vaughn's Dairy and all that. That's where they all were, in that area there.
When we graduated, the year, I guess, was it the summer we graduated? I believe it was. Shirley Thomas, a girl that we graduated with, ran, it was, Vaughn's was closed then, I believe.
Yeah, and then
And she opened it and she had that for several years, ran it for several years.
I can remember Vaughn's there. A lot of people would go there after like basketball games. And just congregate in there and mill around. You bought one soda and you stayed all evening.
Yeah. Play the jukebox.
Yeah, play the jukebox. And it wasn't a very big building either, was it?
No, it wasn't.
But we all managed to get in there.
Pinballs, they had pinballs.
Yeah.
What was the population like back when you were in high school?
I think about 2,000.
2000, yeah. I don't think it changed much over the years. I don't know what it is now with the subdivisions.
I was gonna say 1,500 to 2,000 people.
What was segregation like out of school? Did you hang out?
No, we didn't hang out with them, but we weren't on bad terms with them. I mean, they were all friendly, weren't they? We always talked to them.
Barbara Casey, I did go,
Mhm.
you know, like walk downtown with
Yeah.
her and stuff, but, you know, we didn't too much.
They kind of stayed where they lived.
Yeah,
you
they
know,
did,
those 2
uh-huh.
streets, and they just stayed there and they didn't want it.
One of the men,
Well, yeah.
Preston McCord, remember he was in the Korean War and
Yeah.
his legs froze, they had to amputate his
Yeah.
legs. I know the whole town was real upset. Do
Well-
you remember that, Jim? I mean,
Oh,
everybody
yeah.
really
They
pulled
were nice,
together.
you couldn't ask for nicer people.
And a lot of them worked there at the plant at St. Joe's, so you worked with them.
Yeah.
Our parents worked with them, and they
Yeah.
never had anything bad to say about them.
You
I never
remember
heard-
Kristen's dad, Sam?
Oh, yeah.
He played in the
He was
band.
kinda like Merrill, you know,
Mhm.
in that part of town.
Mhm.
If there's ever any problems, you talk to Big Sam and he'd
Yeah.
Yeah.
take care of
See,
it.
he worked at the plant.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
I think most of them did.
Mhm.
No, I don't think Preston was ever married.
Oh,
Preston was
Not that I ever knew.
Well,
of.
Yeah, he was.
He was?
When they built that house there on the corner for
Yeah, the government built that for him.
Yeah, yeah, he was married.
And didn't his wife teach at Festus?
I think so, yeah,
I
she
don't
was a
remember
teacher.
Forgot about
Yeah.
that.
I don't remember that.
All right, I know you guys might have been a little young, but what about World War II? Do you guys remember anything?
I just remember when it ended, you know, and I had a cousin in World War II, and he was in Japan, and he brought me back a Japanese flag and 2 kimonos. I remember that.
What year did you come back?
Probably 45, 46 in there. Mhm.
And you know,
Judy's dad was in.
you, I don't know if you'll believe this or not, but it's in my memory, it's not from my mom and dad telling me this, but when I was 2, we lived in St. Louis. In fact, I was probably almost 3, and I can remember listening to the radio, and my mom just started yelling, and my dad was outside, she took me by the hand, it was before Kathy was born, and we ran out there, and I remember her yelling, Pearl Harbor was bombed. I must have been 2, I must
I
have
think
been
it was
2.
41.
Mhm.
And I could just see us go, I could picture the house, I can remember us running around the side of the house, and then I don't have any more memories of that, but then we moved to Bonne Terre. My dad entered the Navy, and we moved to Bonne Terre. And when it was over with, it was just, everybody was just elated. We all went there, had a park, and we all went to the park, and there was a band playing there, and everybody was laughing and crying and everything at the same time. But I have a very vivid memory of that. I was 6 then, or 5 or 6, but I remember that really well.
Jim, do you remember anything?
Not really.
I think the kids probably that had dads in it, because my husband remembers a lot more than I do, because his dad was in it. But I think probably if you had a dad in it, you remembered it maybe more.
What was our teaching like? What kind of acts were there?
I do.
Acts?
Like music and stuff?
Tina Turner.
Tina
Yeah,
Turner, we
Tina
got her
Turner.
I
started.
think Tina
our
Turner
teaching.
got her start there.
She
Believe it or
sang
not.
and danced down there.
Yes, she did.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that either, that's something I
That's where
didn't
she
know.
actually got
Yeah,
there,
she
she
did.
Oh,
got
yeah.
her start.
Uh-huh.
You
And,
used to go through town and they had these posters, Artesian Park featuring Ike and Tina Turner. I mean, there's a big, bold, yellow, red signs, you know, they were all over town, and that's where she started, right there.
And that when Bob Ravenscraft had it?
Bob Ravens, well,
I think that was
It was
before
before
Bob.
Bob.
yeah, I don't know who had it then, but then the gentleman in town, Bob Ravens.
I think that's probably before Bob had it,
I think so.
Yeah,
I think
but I
so.
don't remember, like Ronnie don't remember.
I
who
don't
it was.
remember who had it.
And there was a man that became very famous in the St. Louis area. His name was Oliver Sane. He played a saxophone, and he played down there a lot. And I remember hearing him play.
Mhm.
What about the campus inn? Yes.
It was a hamburger joint,
Good hamburger.
Yes, hamburger.
good greasy hamburger.
We used to go there for lunch every day.
Where was that at?
Right there.
Well,
Right
right
up
on here
here.
someplace.
Right up the road. But- Well, when we were in school, there was, I don't think they were there
Was
was
there?
a building, a long building, white building
Yeah.
set back there.
Mhm.
And I think the
That was a
girls
home
had
ec
their,
cottage.
No, no, no.
the home
That
ec,
American.
the home ec, the
Yeah.
girls had their home ec classes in there.
Right.
And
And,
behind that,
and then
Was
when
the
I was in
campus
grade
inn.
school, I could remember for some reason eating up there.
In
And part
grade
of it, and I was little because they had stuff there I didn't like and they made
Well,
me
you
eat
know,
it.
the lady that opened it, his name was Liz Partney, and she fought and fought because the
Yeah, that-
the
that's
administrators
campus
didn't
in-house
want her to
she's talking
open it. And so she really fought to get that, but that's when we were in high school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We might have, no, I think we were younger, like maybe in the,
I'm a little
Junior
guy, so
high,
we,
maybe.
and I don't know what was there, I don't remember that.
I don't know either,
But then, like Judy said, the campus inn was right up there, and that's where,
It was a concrete building.
it was a concrete block building, and she served hamburgers, cheeseburgers, hot dogs, french fries, a lunch type thing for
Malts.
It
high
was the
school.
best hamburger you could get.
Yeah.
Malts.
Well, then they said, well, you guys can't leave the campus. You can't go there anymore. Well, we did. And then that's when Liz Partney ran for school board and won, and I guess she was gonna try to get it again, but I don't know what
I think
happened.
she did.
After that, we graduated, we didn't eat there anymore. But that was the campus inn.
What about some colorful nicknames that in the area?
One.
Well, I know Hoot Douglas. And I never knew his real name.
Frog Laporte.
Well, and I
Lester.
found out later on how come they called him Hoot, because he's born on Halloween. That's what I was, did you know that?
Yeah, a while ago, I said we didn't have any law enforcement. Well, Hoot was sort of a, I don't know.
Deputy sheriff,
A
I
deputy
think.
sheriff or something.
And Ferguson was too.
And
Yeah.
And his name was Fergie, nickname. But Hoot would always, he would kind of be the law enforcement guy.
There was Ducky Thomas.
Yeah,
Frog
Suitcase.
Laporte.
Yeah.
Suitcase Simpson.
And Ducky Lucky.
Yeah.
Ducky Lucky.
Ducky, I don't know how come they call him that, and I can remember.
Poogie, guy we graduated
Yeah.
with, Poogie.
Yeah.
Howard, his real name is Howard, we'd call him
I don't even know how
Poogie.
I would call him Poogie.
Everybody had a nickname. I mean, that
Barbara Hill was
90% of the
red.
people
Uh-huh.
didn't know what their real name was
And,
until they died, and then it's like, oh.
yeah,
now they
I
had
didn't
in
know
parentheses
that was his real
what
name.
their nickname was, but they had Wyman,
Uh-huh.
Frog, Laporte.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, you know,
Frog
when I think
Laporte.
about it, one of my aunts' name was Marcella.
And she was
was
always
called
Babe.
Babe.
Mhm.
Another one of my uncles was Myron, they called him Pete.
And they called your other aunt Sis.
Yeah, Dorothy was Sis.
And
My
your
mom was Toogie. So they all had.
And then there was
names.
Tootie,
Yeah, Tootie,
Tootie Haggard,
Skaggs.
Yeah.
Tootie Haggard,
And Tootie Skaggs.
and Tootie Skaggs.
Uh-huh.
Her real name's Marion.
Uh-huh. Somebody was Tootsie, who was that? Can't think who. Yeah, they really gave a lot of people nicknames, I don't know why. Well, Stanley Williams was Steamer,
Yeah.
they called him Steamer.
These are all people in town.
Mm-hmm. You know where Tootie Haggard got his, how come they call him Tootie?
Harry Jr. was his name.
What's that?
How Toot got his nickname, I
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Uh-huh.
I just thought of somebody I know you probably all know is Geri Donnelly.
Yeah.
What can you tell me about him?
Lived across the
I
street.
have recollections of him.
I lived across the street from Gar.
He was a character.
Gar's junkyard. I mean, oh, that place was a mess.
And Effie Gershadow.
Yeah. Gar would, I mean, he lived in a house that had holes in the roof that big, and doors were open and windows were broke
I don't
out.
think Gar ever changed clothes.
I don't, but you know, Gar always had a white shirt and a tie. It never was tied, it was just kind of draped over and down. You never see him without that tie. I remember my cousin and I went over and had pancakes with Gar one time.
Oh my God. And your mother knew about it?
No, they didn't. But I'll never forget that. Dave and I went over there. And my grandmother, there was a guy that lived with Gar for a while. His name was Frank. It's the only thing and Frank started whipping around on Gar with a chain, had him up against the car and beating around on him. And Gar had him arrested, and Grandma was supposed to be a witness, but she was not able to go. I'll never forget that. That kind of scared me.
How old were you?
I guess I was in high school. You know, I 16, 17.
And I remember he had that old beat up truck.
Yeah.
We used to run up the street, we could run faster than the truck. Could go, we'd run up that main street, he'd just cut us and
Yeah.
everything else.
Yeah, it was so funny. The house on the corner was a nice house, the yard, and then there was Gar's. And I can't tell you everything was in that yard.
And Judy Harold was next
Then
door.
Tootie and Harold lived.
That was nice.
Nice, and there was Gar. I mean, it was just weeds and trees and junk, and tires and wheels and anything you can imagine. It was in that yard.
Wasn't he?
Well, wasn't he some kind of judge or something?
He was a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was, you know
what?
And they always called him mayor of Herculaneum.
Yeah.
I don't think that he ever was, but they always called him the mayor of Herculaneum. And he was related to
Shoemaker, yeah, Shoemaker.
Cotton Shelley. I think that was Cotton's uncle. Now, how, I don't know.
I didn't know
Somewhere or
that.
another, yeah, somewhere or another.
Cotton McClanahan.
That was another
McClanahan.
name, Cotton.
Yeah,
That was another nickname, Cotton.
yeah, her name was Juanita,
Uh-huh.
and they called her Cotton.
And they called her brother Buster McClanahan. What is his name?
And then the one that was real tall, they called him Shorty.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
I remember Gar sitting down there in Tiny Tavern and filled people's taxes out for
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people.
last beer or counter.
Gar was an intelligent man, but he just didn't care about the way
Eccentric.
his house looked. It
That
never
was
made
sort
it
of
to
a
the.
joke in town, if anybody got sloppy, say, you're trying to live like Gar.
Yeah,
you're trying to-"
I'll tell you what, it never made it to house beautiful.
Laura just came up with another one here in Geri's. I think you were in on the first, when the city first formed, right?
Mhm. I was court clerk at first.
I mean, the very first one,
Mhm.
right? Laura just wrote a note here, she said that things change after incorporation. And did anybody see changes in the town?
Yeah.
That was in '72, so I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah, they actually had a police department then, and they had court, and they had rules and regulations to follow. I think they had introduced, city stickers and all that at that time.
The older people, I don't think, liked it either.
No, older
They
people
didn't
weren't ready for change.
They didn't like it.
But I started out as court clerk, and I worked for your dad. He was the chief. And he and I go a long way back. I mean, he always called me as Geraldine. But,
I remember what Herky's first, during the snows, what the first check or slag spreader they had, Don Stotler was in the back of the truck throwing it out with a shovel.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Don Stotler was mayor.
Mhm.
Was Bill Burley's the first mayor?
No,
Don
Don Stotler was the first mayor.
That was over in the black school.
Over there in that little,
Mhm.
That's right.
Mhm.
and everything was in there. We had the court, the police department, city hall. That's where they had their meetings and everything in that one big room.
Yeah, I think they had a good mayor and good,
Mhm. Good alderman
at that
then.
time,
Mhm.
when it started out.
They were basically for the city to improve the city and beautify the city and get some things under control.
Okay, what I'm gonna do is I'll have these guys have to go to class real quick. These guys kind of just do your ending for my class's part, and then I'll leave the camera running if you wanna ask me anything else, and we'll see what my class. So all you guys do that, okay, and well, thank you for coming today.
Thank you
Hold
for
on,
coming.
I got recording.
Thank you for coming today. I'm Andrew Mercer with John Biden. And that's it.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, I really appreciate it. I feel like a celebrity.
Is lunch
Now, do
starting
you
now?
live on, St. Benedict?
Who, me?
No, him.
I wanna say, yeah, I think that's right,
The first,
The first street.
yeah. The first alley.
As you go in, you turn right and go up the hill.
Right.
Well, my son lives up there by you, I think.
Christine, that's what she was.
Oh, you live on Christine, no.
that's where,
Well, Clint lives on St. Benedict. It's the first
You know
road up
what
the
the
hill.
street you live on?
It's Christina, but there's both, like, I live right on the corner of it.
Uh-huh.
On both of
so you turn in Christina.
Can you tie your
You turn
shoes,
in
little boy?
Christina, and then you make the next right is, St. Benedict.
Yeah, well, my son's Clint Oldham, and I think he's talked about you before, yeah, I recognize your name.
No,
Yeah. That's your jacket?
That's your old school jacket.
Uh-huh.
You know, I still got my old school jacket. Boy, it's ratty looking.
I found my,
Collar is all
Letters.
rattled,
a
cuffs,
couple weeks ago.
and it doesn't fit.
Uh-huh.
No.
Betty shrunk it.
Does
Betty,
anybody,
Ray ruined your life, that's what you
does anybody remember when like a bowling alley was?
Oh,
I was
I
Bill
built,
there.
no, I remember bowling.
Not when I was
Bill.
Bill, but
I think
remember
they're
bowling
probably
there.
WPA probably, don't you think? Probably.
WPA built a lot, you know, WPA built the first bleachers out here
Yeah,
at the
uh-huh.
field.
They're still there,
Mhm.
I think, you know.
I think it's probably
The
built
stone?
WPA.
Stone.
Well, the little stone ones are gone, or else they're covered up with the wood ones. But WPA
I
built
thought all
that.
that rock work out there, that white rock was all WPA. I mean, some of it's been,
Yeah.
some of it's been covered with concrete.
Yeah.
Yeah.
uh-huh.
Down plate flooring.
Mhm.
And WPA built the wall there with
Yeah.
Floyd Thomas, you
Yeah.
know, the wall going up the hill there.
But there was,
As we call it Dead Man Hollow.
Yeah.
does anybody know when that?
I was thinking of that, Bill, I thought,
I'd say in the third, about the
how
middle
did it get its
30s.
name? Dead Man?
WPA,
You
oh,
know, I
Dead
Dead
Man.
Man.
remember asking my mom that.
I don't
but
know. I don't
what she
remember a
said.
Dead Man being there. No, I don't know.
Different sections of town have been referred to by other people. You know, they keep talking about Big Bug.
Big Bug Hill.
Well, that was on the St.
Concrete
Joe.
Town.
The big shots from St.
Yeah,
Joe.
Silk Stocking Hill, they call it.
None of us live there.
You know, I mean, I know where these are at,
Uh-huh.
but it's just.
We never did make it up there.
Were?
On Big Bug Hill.
Oh, no, I never, no.
But they,
Silk Stocking Roll, it's
Yeah,
called
that's
too.
fine.
I don't know.
there's, talking to, Eloise McGrain the other day, and she was talking about when they used to have the gazebo down where the bowling alley is, or lab now. But, I
Yes.
found a picture of when they had the Christmas tree, and if you look in the background, they might have done that tree before, I don't know how far back it goes, but there's a picture, it's definitely Doc Hensley's house on the corner. And then right across the street where the bowling alley would be, there's a house facing, would be facing south. But it's just a copy of a picture. I can't see anything really clear, you know, but I can tell what the location is easily, but,
Somebody said they moved the gazebo from the pond down here, down
I don't know what all that stuff is.
No, I don't.
I vaguely remember.
No, I don't, I was thinking that.
there. Well, one of the older residents said this practice field right here was a pond,
Mhm.
and that gazebo sat out there, and they moved it up there by the bowling alley.
Okay.
That was before.
Well,
Yeah, me
Doc
too,
Sid
I
had
can't
his office
Yeah, right in front of,
right in front where, St. Joe is now.
the offices are in a house.
Yeah.
Or Joe Run, I should say.
Yeah, I just wondered if the Knights of Pythias used to have programs down there that wedge.
I don't know. I
We
mean,
have that.
Mhm.
Knights of Pythias,
Yeah,
whatever
that
that
was-
is.
And the reason why I say
You
that,
never heard of
some of them
it?
pictures I
Take
gave
it.
you.
right.
Oh, okay, that's, yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, Knights of
They,
Pythias. I really
there was some
think that
place where the Joanne Study Club started that Christmas tree thing like in the 40s.
Oh, never mind.
But I'm not sure if it happened maybe earlier too at a different time. And they just brought it back or something, but it's just no mistaking where the picture's shot from. It's just, it's so obvious. But it's things that weren't there when, that I remember. I remember the bowling alley.
Have you interviewed any of the older people from here? Did they have any idea of
We've,
what was there before the,
yeah,
Last
Yeah.
time we did Bill Preston over at
Mhm, yeah.
Tiny Torrance and
With
Fred
that.
Carr.
Elmer Blount?
We did Elmo, Sonny Eldred, Lily Tesoro, and her brother Eddie Herbert.
you're the third group.
If Irene Murray was still
Oh,
alive.
she could tell you.
She could tell you, the
I'm trying to get another
story.
Tom.
Roy Thomas.
Tom
Yeah, well,
is,
there's another one.
but his
Boy,
mother
boy.
kept it up here, and I mean, I miss her being here because if you didn't know something, you could go, Aunt Irene, you know, when did this happen? Well, she could just spout it off.
Your mom
She was
has
a
been
very
good too,
intelligent person.
And they,
Do any of you remember I'm sure you remember it, the Citizens for the Improvement of Herculaneum Group?
Oh,
Remember who was involved in that?
I think your dad was, wasn't he?
Don Stotler, Jim Evans, Don Kelly,
Bob, Turtle.
Not Turtle.
Wasn't that
This,
turtle?
this went back to like the early
This,
sixties.
this was the original,
This is the first.
yeah. It's called the Civic Improvement Association.
And they did, I mean, I found the paperwork where they organized and tried to encourage people to
Did it have any of those names in there, Bill, do you remember?
The only name I could find was Mrs., Joe McDowell, was, I guess, the chairman.
Yeah, that's who I was thinking of. Instead of your
Jimmy
dad,
Howard.
I was thinking Joe.
Yeah, and I think Tuke was in,
Yeah.
that, and, what was the guy at the lumberyard?
Pete Simpson?
Pete Simpson,
Yeah, Al,
Bumstock.
Bombstar.
he was one of them. But this paperwork I got, it lists all the projects that they had, that they were going to try to do, and a lot of it was, painting parking spaces on Main Street or Station Street. They cleaned up all those old little sheds that used to be behind B&L and
Yeah.
Hershey store and all that, So that was some of their things. It basically was just putting up street signs and things like that. But, I don't know if you remember that or how long, does anybody remember how long that homecoming went? It started in '61, I know that.
You mean when the Rose City riots?
Yeah, Rose City Riots, because I know eventually that was taken over by the fire
Well, it
department.
went into the 70s
I was
because
thinking early '70s.
my daughter was 5 years old when I had it, and she was the small princess, basically, but yeah, it went into the, and she would have been, it would have been 1975 anyway.
Yeah, because I was thinking it was right around '75, '76.
Yeah.
Because I had Donna Burley just going over to the library.
Because Red Ming's daughter was one of the candidates.
And
One of them, they used to have wrestling matches down here in the football field.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Remember those?
Mm-hmm.
Have what?
Wrestling.
Oh,
that was fun. That was through that group, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was, they sponsored it to make money.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, the only other name I saw in there was Louis Richard. And actually his wife. She was supposed to be the historian and the record keeper for that group. And it's just all, it's not paperwork.
That's
It's
right,
just-
Louis wasn't.
It's like what they put out to the citizens, trying to get them to join. And they talk about, they always had their little board down by the post office. The message board was right there. The post office was next to the drugstore.
Yes.
Well, there used to be one of those there in the corner of Main Station where the,
There was
Well,
a bank in that row of buildings.
That was the original building, the bank.
Yeah.
And then the others built around it.
And Butch Rapp had his insurance company in there where the old bank was.
Right. Someone should have saved that building.
Yes, they should have.
All the work, all the, I don't say cages, but it looked like cages.
Intricate.
It was all still there.
Right.
This one was built on,
I thought one of those guys said during the Depression.
I thought that was definitely
that makes sense, I mean, my dad worked there.
remember Pete and Ellen Becker was the last to have it.
The
yeah.
library was up on top of the hill there in the,
Yeah.
because Aunt Irene worked in the library. She was librarian for
Well,
years.
yeah. See, I've tried, and I've asked people what because we know the building wasn't built for the library. It was, and, because I actually did find the minutes when the Joachim Study Club took receipt of that building from St. Joe. But there's no indication of what the building was used for. And Elmo Blumser used the box in there.
Lonzo Carr.
Yeah,
Lonzo used to
Lonzo.
box, Yanni.
Yeah.
Lonzo Carr used to box, Bill Eichenberger used to box, Bud Mountain used to box.
Jack Bottom.
Ernie Gilbert
Well, yeah.
used to too.
That was later, they came in.
Have you talked to Mary Knocky?
A little bit.
No.
I would think she would know a lot.
She, I think I've asked just about everybody I can think of in that building, because it was built of the same stone that the theater was.
Yeah.
So, and somebody told me they also used to have boxing matches in the theater, but nobody could see because it was just, it was down on the, I guess.
Would
it's
Bill not have any information, Bill, in our archives?
Nothing I can find. I mean, there's
That's
no other problem with Bill running now, is there's nobody
Yeah, we
with
did.
that connection.
Yeah.
to the town, really.
Yeah.
Do they still have the
They
old
got a lot of
archives
photos.
of,
You know, you ask them, and it's kind of
I
like.
see all those buildings were theirs, that's the reason why I was thinking they may have some records or
They've
something.
got a lot of photographs, but when you say they're
They're
all.
like all archival proof.
I don't know if these
Different
are
stuff
not.
over
Can't get them
there.
out.
Yeah.
It's hard to get a copy of it,
Would they copy them for you unless you have the copies?
well, we've got a lot of them,
Have you?
but there's one like at the pay office and the company store, and I showed you a while ago, nobody knows where that was. And it's not the company store that we all,
Mhm.
you know, the IGA, it's not that building, and, so,
Well, the way those men are dressed, that looks like that was more the 20s.
yeah, I think maybe even.
Turn of
earlier,
the century.
you know.
Yeah, most of those pictures were 1910, 1912.
And there's some drastic changes that took place, because, Jim, where your dad was that, did he build that, or?
No, that was part of that grocery store, and I forget what year it was. He was over there in Butch Lou's old building, and that was next to B&L and the old post office there. Butch Lou built that building, I don't know what year, but anyway, he had a butcher shop on one side and Dad was in the other. And I remember there was a Herculaneum Savings and Loan, and Wilbur Gabar was like president or chairman of it, and he ran it out of his house. But anyway, what the grocery store had used that for storage. And,
Where your dad was?
yeah, where my dad was. And, I don't know if that burnt at one time or whatever, but they had only built the front part of it back because the old foundation behind it was still there.
That's where the hair was piled.
Yeah, yeah. But anyway, Dad bought that from Herculaneum Savings and Loan.
It was big old time.
Yeah.
Where your dad was?
Yeah. You see, Dad moved from Butch Lou's. See, he was in the end of the old drugstore first. And then he moved over where Butch Lou's was, and then across the street there next to the store, that was his third location downtown.
So he was at the end of the drugstore,
Mm-hmm.
then went across the street.
To Butch Lou's, and then back over. I'm thinking, I'm trying to think what, people's name had it before Watts. They lived across the street from.
Barks. Is it
Yeah.
Barks?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
What was that? You know?
What was what?
Barks, was that a
He ran it as a grocery store.
grocery?
Yeah. And then Clem Watts bar. And it ended up, it was a laundromat.
Yeah, that was in 1960.
Yeah,
Elvis told me at one time there was, the WPA ran a clothing manufacturing place out of there during the war. WPA, or not, I guess during the war, but the WPA type thing.
I know, I always heard that the building next to the shop on the south side where Hortons lived, that was a clothing store at one time.
That's when he said it's Saks.
Yeah.
Right. But anyway, there's a picture of, I know you've seen it at one of the Moat Wells,
Yeah,
standing in there. Okay, and if you look, the building behind you, well, Hensley's house is on one side.
Yep.
And the building where the laundromat and your dad's shop's at,
mm-hmm.
it's not the same building.
Don't look like it, does it?
It
I
was
know
a
what
different
you're talking
building.
about.
So that's why I was wondering when that building that you guys ended up in
Yeah.
was built. 'Cause those pictures.
The only thing I know is that it was part of the grocery store, it's a stock room. And evidently it burned or something at one time, but they only built the front part of it back because the old foundation in the back of it was
It's still
still
there.
there.
Are you recording?
Oh, really?
And you all remember that pile of hair, right?
Oh, yes.
Just think how big that'd be if you could kept it up.
What'd you ever do with it?
I hauled it off and got rid of it. I
Yeah.
got tired of it.
But there's still people that come and get hair to put around their gardens
Oh,
to
yeah.
keep the deer and stuff out.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
I didn't know that kept deer out.
I tried to
Yeah,
clone the
but
rabbits, just
human,
went right over
they
them.
get the human smell and they don't get into the garden.
Have you guys heard of the name Escaffair?
I've heard it, yeah.
Esther Fair?
I've heard it.
Somebody told me about that.
No, I don't remember.
questions. I'm really trying to put together what those buildings were downtown, you know, what was where, and, what I used to think, some of those pictures I started looking at, like she had one of, when Roy Haverstick had that